Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. Today I'm reviewing First Man, and this was directed by Damien Chazelle, and this is his third film as director. His two previous films, La La Land and Whiplash, were really well done and really well received, and he won the Oscar for Best Director for La La Land. The film is based upon James R. Hanson's book of the same name, First Man, and it stars Ryan Gosling, Claire Foy, Jason Clarke and Kyle Chandler. And it's ultimately the Neil Armstrong story. It really looks at him just before he goes into the space program. It looks at him looks at his family and his family life, and how certain things that happen in his life, how that affects him and it affects his decisions as he goes along in life. His daughter becomes unwell, and that has a real effect on him and his decisions that he makes in the future. And it really looks at his gradual succession of becoming an astronaut and finally landing on the moon in 1969 on Apollo 11. So this film is different to a lot of other movies. So like Apollo 13, it doesn't really follow the space mission. Like, it's not the main focus of this story. It sort of is the background. It's really about Neil Armstrong and his family, and how things transpired within his family, and how he took on losses and deaths of people and struggled to express how he felt and how he thought about things, internalizing it all. And it's really ultimately a family drama, this film. It's really about the relationship between him and his wife and his children, and how their support and their support helped him immensely and helped him accomplish the things he was trying to set out to do. He was a very driven man by the look of things in this film, and he was not a real people person. He internalized a lot of things and was unable to express himself easily even with his wife or his children. Damien Chazelle has really outdone himself, I think, with this film. It's a very ambitious film, and he's done a lot to create the world that we view here. The visual effects are in it, but they're not as strong as most films. They sort of blend in with the drama of the film, and I think that's quite clever and a great idea to do, because you don't want to have a story like this and have the visual effects take away from what the story you're trying to tell. It's a very intimate story, and really ultimately about Neil Armstrong, the people he interacts with, and his family. And it looks at the strains that his work and what he's trying to accomplish has on his family as well. So I just want to talk a bit about the acting. Now, I think Ryan Gosling does a really fantastic job here. He has this great ability of doing an internal performance, but expressing that just subtly with how he's feeling inside, and I think he does a really great job here with that. And I'd really like to know if Neil Armstrong was like that, and I gather he was, for him to portray him in such a way. And I would be really surprised if he wasn't nominated for his performance. Claire Foy is an actress I'm sort of not completely familiar with. I've seen her in a couple of roles, and I think she does a really fantastic job here as his wife and his support ultimately in the film. Just with her character as a negative, I guess, I just would like to have seen a bit more of her rather than a concerned wife. She does have opportunities to shine within this film, and she does some really great acting and creates a really interesting and fascinating character. I just wish there was a bit more of her in this, I guess was what I'm trying to say. Everyone else does a sort of decent job. Jason Clarke is pretty good in it. There's quite a number of actors who've been around for a while playing particular characters, and they all do very solid jobs. Chazelle's wife's even in it as well, who plays a wife of one of the astronauts, and she does a really solid job as well. I've never really seen her in anything. Apparently she's in La La Land as well, but I haven't quite seen her performance in that, so I'm not 100% sure of her as an actress quite yet. I really like the world he's created in this film. I like it's very intimate. He really humanizes these men, not so much making them grand heroes like the American public would after they go to the moon, but really making them human. The trials and struggles that they go through to accomplish their goals, the things that transpire for them in their personal lives and how that affects them in their work. It's very powerful what he's able to create here. And it sort of looks at the idea that some of the American people weren't happy about all the money that was going into designing and building these rockets. They felt this money could have went in different areas and better places and been spent on things to help humanity rather than going off into space. So it sort of really looks at that, and that's sort of a different choice to look at it as well, and I think that's really fantastic to put something like that in it. I really like his direction. I think it's very solid and it's very realistic, and like I said, the visual effects intertwine wonderfully with the drama and the realism of the film. All the space stuff is absolutely fantastic. When they first see the moon, when they land on the moon, the whole experience and that, all the space stuff is just absolutely mind-boggling, and it looks so real and it's so well done, it's so effective. Them landing on the moon is probably the highlight of the film. This actually takes place at the end in the third act, and it's really looks at what this man accomplishes, but the main focus is really him as a person and his family life more than anything else. I guess just talk about a little bit about the things I didn't quite love about it is some of the camera work. Like when it began that it was going to be handheld, I didn't quite like that idea because I'm not a big huge fan of shaky cam, but it sort of works for the film. It felt like a documentary, the way they used to do documentaries in the 60s, you know, the sort of cameras they'd use and the camera work that they would do. It does sort of feel like that. And I think that's really what he's going for here with the look of it, and the cinematography is what he's really trying to capture. He really puts you in that world. He puts you close to these people, but you do feel a bit distant from Neil Armstrong's character. Like you can't connect completely with him. There's sort of a distance there, and I guess he's holding everybody at a distance. He's holding his family, his co-workers, everybody at a distance, and I think that's why it's sort of portrayed in such a way. And like I said, Claire Foy should have had a bit more to do within the film, I think, a little bit more than she already had. It is a very slow burner sort of film. It takes its time to sort of build to what it's aiming towards, and it does take time to get there. But it is an interesting look into the world and the life of this particular man who did accomplish such amazing things. Anyway, final verdict. Look, if you like movies about space, if you like movies like Apollo 13, if you like human dramas and really humanizing people and characters from history, you'll probably thoroughly enjoy this. One thing you've got to remember going into this film though is don't expect Apollo 13. Don't expect it to be really focused on space travel or getting to the moon or the space race. Yes, that is in it, but it's not the main focus. The main focus is him and his family and who he was as a person, with the space stuff being in the backdrop. So just go into it understanding and knowing that. Look, I don't know if everyone's going to love this sort of film. I think if you like anything on history, you should go and see it. I think it will divide audiences quite a bit, just the idea of what it's about and how it goes about doing what it's trying to accomplish. I don't doubt that this film will be nominated for Best Picture, and Damien Chazelle would be nominated yet again for Best Director. And the two leads, Gosling and Foy, I think will definitely be nominated for their performances here. I'm going to give this film 4.5 out of 5. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I like it was different and took a different approach to a well-known moment in history, and looked at a man and took a man and humanized him. Took a hero, someone who'd done something amazing, and humanized him, which I really thoroughly liked. Anyway, that's all from me today. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, please hit subscribe down the bottom there. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.